Good morning guys from Porthmadog on the North Welsh coast. It is a beautiful morning. The sun is out, the seagulls are out, which is making me feel a little bit nervous, I've got to admit. But I'm not going to stay here for long. I'm going to make my escape on the S4 Sherpa bus service. Now it's called the Sherpa bus because I believe its primary aim is to take walkers from Porthmadog up to Penny Pass, and from Penny Pass you can take various mountain trails up to the top of Snowdon and some other places around that area. Now I'm hoping it's going to turn up and go from stand B or stand C, which is just over there. But I was looking at the timetable. I wasn't quite sure whether it was going to turn up or not, to be honest. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mystery, this one, but it takes about an hour to get up to Penny Pass. I'm not going to climb Snowdon today, obviously. I'm just going to have a coffee and then probably come back. But I'd love to show you guys what it's like. So yeah, hopefully we can catch it today, and I'll see you on the bus. Right, well, I've made my way down to a bus stop. I was looking at the sign there. It doesn't say stand C. That's just the G in Gwynedd, isn't it, for the area. But yeah, Porthmadog Tesco. So if you're standing outside Tesco, you should be all right, because the S4 to Penny Pass is actually on there, whereas it wasn't on stand B. Although I think it probably does go to stand B as well. Anyway, we are on a Sunday morning, and so Sundays are public bank holidays. We are looking at the 11:31 S4 with the worrying A next to it, which I'm not sure what that is because I'm not wearing my glasses. Bear with me a second. Okay, that just means it goes via Beddgelert. So yeah, we should be fine for that. It's just a case now of waiting around and seeing what turns up, and how much it's going to cost. I have no idea at the moment. I think what strategy I'm going to take this morning is to ask the driver what the cheapest way of doing it is, just to get a return up there and back, or whether it's better to get a day ranger or something like that. Right, oh, there's a massive dog. There you go, massive dog there, see that? So yeah, as always, it's looking like it just slobbered all down my leg. As always, it's looking like it could be an adventure. So come with me. We'll see you in a bit. Well, good news was one of the Sherpa buses went past, and they were definitely running. I was convinced this would be my bus, as it said S4 on it, and I thought it'd just go up the road, turn around, change the destination on the dot matrix board and come back, but no, I've no idea where that went, as my bus was clearly a different one. YX73PKV, an all-white Alexander Dennis Enviro 200. And as I said, I thought the best idea was to tell the driver where I was going and let him advise on the best value for money ticket. Hi mate, yeah, just want to go up to Penny Pass and then back again. What's the cheapest way of doing it?
Cheapest way?
Yeah.
£7 ticket.
Yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, take it on.
That'll take you on any of the bus going away. All day.
All day. It's not bad, is it?
Alright. Any of the company as well, yeah?
Yes, it is. Okay, that's one. Cheers, mate. And first impressions of the bus, well, it was certainly quiet. One other passenger on it at this point. It was compact. I've been on smaller buses, but it was perfectly adequate inside. Big windows for the views, clean and comfortable. Right then guys, so yeah, on the bus up to Penny Pass, and yeah, asked the driver the best way of doing it, £7 return, but that £7 will get you on any bus in the area all day, and that, in my opinion, is a great value for money. I'm not sure how much I am going to use it today, but you know, if I'd have been starting off early in the morning, the travel possibilities are limitless, really, aren't they? Providing you stay in the right area. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. And something else, we've just arrived into Porthmadog now, and there's not many people on the bus. There's me and somebody else, and 2 people getting on now, and that's it for the moment. But yeah, I'm not complaining about that. After Porthmadog we turn east and head along the A498 before turning right onto the B4410 and the timetable stop at Porthmadog for the Osprey Centre on the River Glaslyn. The river was until the early 19th century navigable all the way up to Pont Aberglaslyn, which we'll cross in a short while. But at this point, before the scenery gets truly spectacular, it's a good time to have a look at the interior of the bus. There's not much to say. The seats, of which there are 30, are comfortable enough for a journey of this length with a smart, modern moquette. The legroom, as you can see from the seats opposite and my knees here, well, it's a bit tight. And note the seats in front also have part of the wheel arch on the floor. In fact, if you're particularly tall, you might be better off sitting further forward, where there are priority seats and one wheelchair space. And no USB provision or Wi-Fi or anything like that, but it does have big windows. Put your phone down and enjoy the views because they just get better and better. We join the A4085 at Garreg, another timetable stop, but again, nobody gets on or off. And then a tiny lane leads off to our right, and yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to meet anything coming the other way down there. We continue onwards and the windy road opens out a bit as we head once more towards the Glaslyn with views towards the craggy hills in the distance. The Welsh Highland Railway crosses the road here as it heads up from Porthmadog towards Beddgelert and ultimately Carnarvon. I will be taking a trip on that later in the year, so I won't talk about it too much here, but yeah, it certainly is a magnificently scenic heritage railway, and the complete restoration of the line a few years back now really was a massive undertaking and an impressive achievement. So over the Glaslyn once more, and we're into the beautiful Aberglaslyn Pass. The bridge we've just crossed, by the way, was built by the devil, on the understanding that he would take the soul of the first living creature to cross it. He was tricked by Black Robin the Magician apparently, and ended up with a dog. The river here becomes quite rocky and is a favourite place for tourists to paddle in. On the other side, the Welsh Highland Railway winds its way through several tunnels, and I remember when I was a bit younger being able to walk through these tunnels before the railway was rebuilt. It was a popular walk back in those days, but it's no less popular now, and there are plenty of cars parked up on the road wherever they could get. The railway crosses the river here just south of Beddgelert, and we cross the railway ourselves shortly after by means of the A498, which will take us most of the way towards Penny Pass. And we're just coming into Beddgelert now, which, although it's a relatively small village, is the main stop on the S4's route. We're scheduled to wait here for 3 minutes. Right then guys, we are in Beddgelert. It's 11:57. Just surprising how few people are on this bus. Well, basically nobody on the bus now. 2 people got off, 1 person got off before that, and there's only me left, but it looks like there are a couple of walkers getting on now. And I tell you what, looking at the amount of cars parked on the road on the way through the Aberglaslyn Pass, it's busy today, as you would expect. It's a Sunday, the sun's out, but I think as we get closer to Penny Pass, it's going to be absolutely rammed, and that is of course another major factor when you think about taking a bus as opposed to driving up there. So yeah, enjoying it so far. The scenery is fantastic, isn't it? Let's carry on. Yeah, and Beddgelert itself was busy enough. Another S4 service heads towards Porthmadog, which incidentally ends up at Morpherbucken for Greenacres, which is the big Haven caravan park just outside the town. Now this makes perfect sense and is really handy for anyone staying on site. And Beddgelert itself, well, it's very picturesque, isn't it? Well worth a visit. I did stop for an ice cream on the way back actually. And the village is primarily associated with the folk tale of Gelert the dog, who was killed by his owner, Llewellyn the Great, who mistakenly thought the dog had killed his baby. Well, the dog had in fact killed a nearby wolf who had attacked the child, and racked with remorse, Llewellyn supposedly built a fitting grave for the dog in the village. However, it was later discovered that the grave was built at the end of the 18th century by a landlord of the local goat hotel in order to encourage tourism. Well, I guess it worked, didn't it? And yeah, the village does very well out of it, I'm sure. Now you can probably tell here that we're approaching a body of water. Yes, on our right we're coming to Llyndinas, a shallow lake with a depth of only 10 metres. The glaslyn flows into and out of the lake. A nearby rock was said to have been used by an eagle that used to perch on it once a week, anticipating a battle between 3 local settlements, or cantrefs as they were known in medieval Wales. Have you noticed, by the way, that there are a lot of local legends associated with this part of the world? I think it's great. I didn't see any eagles today, but the lake is good for salmon and trout fishing. And just look at the amount of cars parked up on the roadside here. That can mean only 2 things, can't it? 1, it's a really popular spot for walkers and other outdoorsy types. And 2, there's a pay and display car park nearby. Oh yes, here it is, Pont Bethania. £6 for all-day parking at the time of this video, which is £1 less than the day rover on the bus. It is the starting point for the Watkin Path, one of Snowdon's 6 main routes to the top, and said to be the most demanding because it starts at the lowest altitude of any of the routes and has the steepest overall gradient. Get here early, I would say, but there is a bus stop here as well. Llyn next, and this is where you need to swap seats if you can and be on the left hand side of the bus. Llyn is again fed by the River Glaslyn, and there is a very good campsite on its northern shore. Now, I stayed there once and canoed on the lake, absolutely fantastic. Do you want to know another interesting fact? It was used as a filming location for the 2003 film Lara Croft, The Cradle of Life, according to Wikipedia. Anyway, we stop here to pick up a few more walkers who boarded the bus with a certain amount of disbelief, but this is exactly what the service is about, transporting people up and down the mountain passes. The clue's in the name really, isn't it? It's so easy, contactless payments, all-day rovers, plenty of space and frequent. The summer timetable, valid between the 5th of April and the 2nd of November, has an S4 service every hour at weekends and school holidays, and every couple of hours during weekday school terms. Well, it's a massive challenge, but ultimately, if the bus gets people out of their cars and reduces congestion in this amazing area, then, well, that's a good thing, isn't it? We are climbing ever higher now as we look back towards Llyn and Galt Iwenalt, if I've read my OS map correctly. And I'm doing my best with the pronunciation here, and it can be quite tricky in this part of the world. But thankfully, our destination of Penny Pass is quite easy to say and translate, as it literally means head of the pass, which is quite logical really. Though I also read somewhere that Pen originates from Roman times and can mean hill, which would also kind of make sense, wouldn't it? But then again, Dull, spelt D-L-E, also means hill in Old English. So Pendle Hill up in Lancashire, well, that literally translates to hill, hill, hill. I think. What do you think? Let's start a discussion in the comments below. Right then guys, just making our way towards Penny Pass and Snowdonia, you just about to see over there in the distance. Honestly, the views on this route are second to none. I cannot think of a more amazing bus route in terms of scenery that I've ever taken. Let me know if you know one. We've got about 10 minutes or so to go now, but I just cannot take my eyes off this. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it just gets better and better, doesn't it? Look at the colour of the sky here. You can just about make out the Llanberis Pass in the distance. Now, this point on the map is marked by a viewpoint symbol, so it's not surprising that again there are lots of cars parked in the designated parking bays. It is pay and display again, and note that there are no parking signs in place outside of these official zones, indicating that you do risk being towed away if you park on the side of the road. There is another bus stop here, and it is where the walkers get off that we picked up earlier. So the bus has either taken them back to their car or given them a head start up the mountain. Either way, it saved their legs. So as the sign says, we are coming to the end of the A498 here and joining the A4086. We are of course turning left onto the Llanberis Pass, which ultimately ends up in Carnarvon. Now if you are heading up here in the car, one of the first signs you come to is the Penny Pass car park pre-bookings only sign. Well, this is seasonal and had just come into force the day before my trip. It didn't affect me obviously, but if you're in the car, well, you have to pre-book between the 5th of April and the 2nd of November, the same period as the Sherpa bus's summer timetable. Well, I had a look on the website for pre-booking and tried a dummy booking. How much do you reckon it was? £20 for the day, or even a few hours. It didn't really seem to matter, to be honest. I'm just going to pause here to let you get your breath back. Okay, the car park is manned and you will be turned away if you haven't pre-booked. I saw this in action. You can drop off, so yeah, it could be cheaper to use a taxi if you're coming from Llanberis possibly, or free if you can get somebody else to drive you there who doesn't really enjoy walking. But honestly, why wouldn't you use the bus? It is so much easier. In fact, the first thing the car park pre-booking website does is advertise the Sherpa bus, so everything really is geared around getting people to leave their cars at home and use public transport. And the buses, they're modern, clean, and they're value for money, but yeah, for me, well, it still requires a cultural shift because, as you've seen today, despite all this provision, the parking spots are still extremely busy and there's hardly anyone on the bus. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. Anyway, here we are at the car park bus stop. Myself and the other two passengers made our way off the bus and I had a quick look inside the building here. There are toilets available, but don't drink the water. There is also a small cafe, though this was unfortunately closed at the time of my visit. A lot of advisory notices making sure people are properly equipped for walking in the area, and believe it or not, there is Wi-Fi, and it worked. Outside is a useful touchscreen information board with lots of details on the Sherpa buses that come up here, and there's another printed timetable on the bus stop which is similar to the one in Porthmadog, although you do have all the other Sherpa routes that serve this stop. And after all that, I managed about 50 yards of the pig track before stopping to recover and just taking a minute to summarise the journey. Alright then guys, penny pass, and I'm just sitting on a rock on the pig track, which is one of the tracks you could take from here up to the top of Snowdon. I think the miners track is the other one. It's a bit of a way though still, and you just about see it over my shoulder, and there are some fantastic views down there towards Llanberis. Yeah, honestly, in terms of views, scenery, I'm really struggling to think of a better bus journey that I've taken. If you know of any, then please let me know, because yeah, it's going to take something to surpass this one. And all the way from Porthmadog, about an hour, £7. As I said earlier, that is a day ranger ticket, so you can use it on any of the buses in the area. Fantastic value for money as well. You just cannot go wrong. And another thing is, as the bus turned up towards Llanberis, then there were signs like on the road saying, oh, you know, if you want to park at Penny Pass, you needed to be pre-booked. You save yourself the bother, just take the bus. It's fantastic value for money, and you can relax, enjoy the scenery. I've had a great time. I don't want to head back really, but I'm going to have to soon. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I shall catch you on another adventure soon, I'm sure. Until then, guys, as always, cheers for now.